What's up again there, guys? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to give you another episode of my weekly Q&A show to help people's questions or answer a series of questions that have been sent to me over the past week. For this particular episode, we only had about 6 questions. I don't think we even had too many extra questions that I entered in the comment section, but there were a few, so you know where to look if you don't hear your question in the video. I think it's a steady balance. However, there's like a few questions that are a little bit odd, especially the first one, which I'm going to use as an example, mainly just to help you guys out. So the first question comes from Least Like Critic 75, and I'm just letting you know, I'm not doing this to embarrass you. I'm actually doing this to kind of help everyone moving forward in terms of being very specific with your questions. Because your question is, if you could do your own Star Wars, how would you do it? I don't understand this question because you're not giving me any limitations. You said do your own Star Wars, but you're not telling me what. You're not saying Star Wars film, Star Wars video game, Star Wars comic book, Star Wars animated show. You're just saying your own Star Wars. I have no direction. I don't know. That could be anything. And so I don't know. I don't know how I would do it because I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, imagine Disney saying, Brian, we're going to give you $50 million. We want you to do your own Star Wars. I would say, Star Wars what? Like, Star Wars amusement park, comic book series, animated shit, like, Star Wars what? So, yeah, I'm sorry, Least Like Critic, I don't know. You could try again next week, but you gotta give me some sort of direction. So, yeah, very, very important to be specific with your questions. Next question comes from Phantom Sidious. You want to know, now that I've seen both Venom and Joker, how do they compare? And would more solo villains having their own movies work in the future? Well, to answer your question, Sidious, you are aware that, you know, Sony's working right now. They're filming a Morbius movie. I've heard rumors that they're also going to do a Kraven the Hunter movie, so I'm sure I think it's a foregone conclusion that more villains are going to get their own movie. Now, how do they compare? Well, I didn't really see Venom as a villain movie because Venom is more of a anti-hero, and you know, I'm pumped up to see its sequel, and it felt like a fun comic book movie. It got away from Marvel's MCU bullshit, which I don't like anymore, and I'm probably not going to watch another one of their films for like the next 10, 15, 20 years. But Joker was just that was like the type of film that I would like to see more of. I mean, I wouldn't like to see too much of because there were too many of them. You know, that genre would be interesting, but it was a movie that was very, very thought-provoking. It definitely was the best movie I've seen this year by a long shot. I haven't seen a movie like this since Dark Knight about 11 years ago, and I just wish that more movies would take example that, you can tell these serious type of stories that deal with serious issues, and they stay with us more than MCU films, which, for me, go in one ear and out the other to the point where, like, a week later, I completely forgot that I even saw the damn film or even what happened in it or what was said or what happened in it. So, but that's just how I feel. But yeah, I think I do think they can work as long as you have the right script, right director, in the right direction. So yeah, I'm prepared to see more villain-based movies in the future. Next question comes from the Batman from Neo Gotham, and this is also a little bit confusing, but for different reasons. It's another Star Wars question, but now you're dealing with something that I don't think we know how to do in Star Wars. And it deals with power scaling, and even I don't understand how this works. But your question is, how powerful do I think Ahsoka Tano would have been if she'd continued her Jedi training and if Anakin had never turned to the dark side? I don't know. It's hard. Like, I don't know how to scale Jedi. Like, okay, do I think that she would have eventually become a Jedi Knight? Of course. Do I think she would have eventually elevated to a status of Jedi Master? Of course. Do I think she would have eventually been added to the Jedi Council? I don't think she's the type of person who would want to be on the Jedi Council. So she would just be a typical Jedi that went through the typical path of a Jedi. You start as a trainee, and then you become an apprentice, and then you become a knight, and then you become a master, and then you eventually take on your own apprentice, and the cycle continues. I mean, she would just be another Jedi. I can't say in terms of power because we don't know how to scale that. I mean, we know that Yoda is extremely powerful, but you know he has 800 years of experience, so it's kind of tough. Next question comes from. You know what? I'm just gonna put your name here. I don't even know how to say that, but you want to know if you were in charge of Death Battle, you try come the matchups more fair and using different versions of characters. Okay, this is my God, my damn, my years in English in college and high school are kicking in. Like what? like I don't even like how this sentence was written is confusing. But I guess you're asking, if I was in charge of Death Battle, you're probably asking me how I would make up my matchups. You know what? At this point, I don't care anymore. I mean, Death Battle matches don't really match. I mean, their analytics are absolutely horrible, and they're just meant to be entertaining. And if they're just, if people just want to be entertained, that's fine. You don't need. I mean, I'm surprised at this point why they even have analytics and try to back up their facts. No one cares about how you break shit down because no one does this. They're talking about things that don't really matter, using all different types of measurements and calculations that no one understands any of this crap, and it's pointless putting it in your video. Just show the stupid fight and that's it. It's like this character wins because we say so. I mean, that's as simple as it needs to be. I mean, there's no point in trying to break it down. And at that point, if you're as popular as them, I can do whatever the heck I want. Because why? Because where else are you gonna go? I mean, that's their mentality, and that I would adopt that too. It's like, heck, you know, we're king of the mountains. There's no one close to us that can even challenge us. I mean, people can make all the debunk videos they want, but heck, we're gonna keep flushing them out. You're gonna continue to watch them, and we're gonna be the most popular versus channel on the internet. And that's just how it works. So I guess that's how I would do it. Next question comes from bougiewater, and this one's also interesting. And you said, 2 or 3 episodes ago, I said that only 5 games. No, it wasn't 5, it was 3. 3 games. Only 5 games have ever scared me. What are they and why? Okay, I didn't say 5, I said 3. The 3 of them was Resident Evil 4, Dead Space 1, and Dead Space 2. The reason why Resident Evil 4 scares me, or it did, was because when I first played that back in 2004, that was my very first Resident Evil game. So I didn't even know what to expect. Then you go into something like Dead Space, which I think takes the concept of Resident Evil, but makes it even scarier. Because now it's similar to something like a movie like Event Horizon or Aliens, but it's dealing with a whole different aspect and different types of enemy variety, which is very, very different from Resident Evil. And then Dead Space 2 just took that and took it to a whole another level. So it's really only between those 3 games. I can't say that any other Resident Evil game has ever legitimately been able to scare me. I mean, I don't even count jump scares as being all that scary because it's just a sudden increase in noise. And I would say Dead Space 3 just went a little bit too actiony, especially with the co-op aspect. But yeah, those are just the primary reasons why those 3 games really ever scared me legitimately. And I'm not sure if I've ever gone over the story of like the scariest moment I ever experienced in a video game, which was in Dead Space 2. I'm not sure if I should ever tell that story, but I'm thinking about it because it's Halloween, so you know, scares is always a big thing, so who knows. But the last question of the episode comes from Will Williams, and this, I'm not sure if this is a rhetorical question. I don't know, maybe you're serious, but you want to know, how do I feel about Destiny franchise, and have I played either games before? Have I played either games? Well, you are aware that I have reviewed these games, so obviously I have played them. Obviously I have enjoyed them. Otherwise I wouldn't have gotten these games both when they came out. So how do I feel about it? I think it's a great series. I would definitely play that over Borderlands. Borderlands is just not working for me. I think it's a beautiful game. It could have used a little bit more story, but I think it's one of those games that when you get a chance to play it in its entirety with all its DLCs, it's absolutely worth the price. And for like many years, I consider it to be the perfect filler game. And what a filler game for me is, it's basically a game that you play in between main releases of titles. So while I was waiting for like the next big release, I would just always go back and play Destiny. The problem is that I haven't played Destiny 2 in so long, I'm not sure if I could go back to it because I would be so far behind. Like when that game initially came out, I was like so on top of it, but like they've added so many paid DLCs and so many upgrades and so many changes. So like, is it worth going back now? And should I have to pay for all these DLCs? If it was free, I would definitely stay on top of it, but the fact that you have to pay in order to get all these upgrades, I think it's just a little bit ridiculous. I mean, so that's just how I initially feel about it. And with that, those are all the questions that you guys have sent in to me for this particular episode. I'd like to thank the 6 of you, as well as everyone else that sent in your questions that I answered in the comment section below. And in a recent video during my last stream, or technically my first stream of Neo Kuni, someone actually recommended that I ask you guys a question, and I think that is a fantastic idea. So before I close this video, I have a question for all of you. I just did a video pretty much going over details regarding the release of the PlayStation 5, which will be coming out next year. But if you could choose one type of feature, one type of addition that was not in the PlayStation 4 that you would like to be seen added in the PlayStation 5, what would that be? Please share your answer with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Make sure if you guys have any more questions you'd like to send in for next week's episode, be sure to type in the comments down below. We'll make sure to get them into me roughly before Wednesday around noon. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.